Can someone explain to me why men have to constantly show up in relationships differently by being in tune with their emotions, but women never have to show up logically in a relationship to make it work? Let me explain. Men are constantly at the mercy of a woman's ever-changing emotions, and if he doesn't change fast enough to keep up, then he's considered weak, or he needs to go to therapy and he needs to become more emotionally available. But women are never expected to show logic outside of being validated. A woman can literally misconstrue a text message and slash a man's tires, and it's going to either be blamed on the men, it's going to be blamed on her hormones, or there's a logical explanation for her fucked up behavior. So men have always had to change the way that they're behaving, but women have never had to be held to that same standard. Make that make sense. And it makes me wonder that if women were capable of being more rationally in tune with their partner, just the same way that she wants him to be emotionally in tune, would men be able to open up and be vulnerable with their partners instead of keeping it bottled up or lying to their partners or misconstruing the truth just to avoid hurting her feelings? Okay, bye.
Huge difference between men and women in relationships is that men will keep trying even when they feel unwanted. He wants to fix it because he doesn't want to lose what he sees as valuable. Women, on the other hand, don't seem like they have any problem with walking away if she feels unwanted. She will not fix it or beg, she will just walk away. What's interesting is that this concept is seen in almost every piece of dating advice. It's probably even been in my own. So why is this? Why are women told to walk away and men are told to fix it? I'm sorry, but men and women are just different in relationships. This is just one of the ways. From everything that I've seen, men are really good at showing and demonstrating to women that he believes that he is really lucky to have her in his life. But very rarely, if at all, do I ever see a woman expressing the same thing towards her man. Question for the guys. I want to know if you've ever been in a relationship where she has made you feel like she's the lucky one to have you. And I want to know if you're still in that relationship. Tell me.
Women, have you had this experience? You're looking at your man and you're telling him a story and he is looking at you and you're like, why are you not listening to me? I said this to boyfriend very early in our dating. I was telling him a story. I've been talking for like 5 minutes and he had not asked a question. He hadn't said, yeah, I felt that too. I've had that experience happen to me too. And I looked this man dead in his eyes and I said, why are you not listening to me? And he was like, what do you mean? You have my full undivided attention and I am listening. What does listening mean to you? And I was like, that's a great question. I think it means you have to talk to me. And he was like, that's not what listening is. And I was like, I know, but it is for me. Because women, when we share our experiences and our feelings, it's a collaborative effort. It is a barn raising. You and me together, I'm saying I felt ignored, and you're saying I've been in that situation too, and you're saying I would have also felt ignored, and boom, we've built a corner of the barn together. That's how women do it. Whereas men, they build the whole freaking barn themselves, and then they bring you in for the inspection, and they'll change what needs to be changed at the inspection. But if you come in while they're still building, they're like, I'm building. Let me do this. And that's when I learned that to women, active listening means being involved and being collaborative. And for men, active listening means you keep your mouth shut and you hear him out. And when he's done talking, I promise you he will tell you. Because what I've learned with boyfriend is he'll talk for a while and then he'll say, I don't know. Which means he does know, and he's going to talk for another 3 minutes. And then once he gets that out, he'll say, okay. And I'm like, okay, what does okay mean? He's like, okay, it's your turn to talk. Like, what do you think? What do you think about all that? And I'm like, I need to be taking notes. Like, if I'm going to keep my mouth shut, there's going to be notes, there's going to be questions, there are going to be times we got to circle back. But I would so much rather have the questions and circle back than make him feel disrespected and quote unquote cut him off mid telling me something, because that's not the intent. My intent is to hear and to be a part of. It's just he wants my input later. Then I, as a woman, want my input earlier. And we've learned how to communicate with each other, and the barns are raised and they're solid, but boy did it take some work to get there. I love you.
Women's greatest fear is being alone, not being with the wrong person. And our greatest fear is being with the wrong person. Like, I didn't meet my wife until late for the same reason. I was like, I don't want to settle. I don't want to be with somebody. Like, I figured out more or less how to like date. I figured out like kind of like what that person wanted. And I can kind of like be that version of that, but it didn't make me happy. But the tricky thing is that women, because they're so afraid of being alone, I think a lot of them, they end up being with guys they don't really like. And that's what I think this like ick red flag culture is. Have you heard of women on the internet talking about their icks and their red flags? Mm-hmm. When you're with someone you don't like, everything about them is irritating. You just hate the guy you're with, but you're terrified of being alone.
I learned this the hard way. Men don't like to be told what to do. They don't like for their girlfriends and significant others to act like their moms. If your significant other does something that you do not like, and the way that you decide to tell him that you don't like it is by starting an argument, I'm telling you now, it's not good. It's not going to work for you. Here's an example. The first time it happens, he'll call you and say, hey, babe, I just wanted to let you know that tonight the boys and I are going to go out. We're really excited. We're going to go to this sports bar that they've been wanting to try out. You want him to hang out with you. You want him to want to hang out with you and not with his friends. So you get hurt. Your feelings get hurt and you get emotional. Because what you wanted to do tonight was hang out with him. Instead of expressing that in a healthy way, you decide to catch an attitude. Okay. He clearly senses something off and asks, what's wrong? And that's when you decide to go off. I just think it's funny that... And then you start a fight. And all he wanted to do was go out and hang out with his boys. He doesn't see anything wrong with it. So now he feels like he's getting punished for wanting to just be with his friends. He loves being with you, but what the heck? The next time he's not going to call you. He's not going to let you know what he was up to. Because quite frankly, he doesn't want to get the lip every time he wants to go out with his friends. And he's not doing anything wrong after all. I feel like the more you tell a man what he can and can't do, the more he's going to want to do the things that you don't want him to do. So hear me out. You want your boyfriend to be obsessed with you? Don't be the nag. Next time he calls you and is like, hey babe, just wanted to let you know that the boys and I were going to go to this bar and we're going to watch this game. Or we're going to go grab some drinks. Oh, okay babe. Have fun. Sounds like a good time. Who are you going with? Oh, okay. Yeah. Sounds fun. He'll be like, oh, okay. What are you up to tonight? No, I was thinking, I kind of had my night open, but I'm guessing, maybe I'll go grab drinks with, a couple of my friends. He's like, okay. He's going to go out and all night he's going to be thinking about you. And his guy friends are going to start complaining about their wives. Oh my God, every time I want to go out with my friends, it's this whole drama. And your boyfriend will just sit there and they're like, how about you, bro? Your girl's not like that? He's going to go, no, actually, yeah. That's how you win the situation. Right there. Because now, instead of, ugh, my girlfriend's such a nag, it's, man, I'm so lucky to have a girlfriend like mine.
When men and women fall in love, it's so different. By the way, I learned it when I was studying the relationship psychology, and it's scientifically proved. A woman falls in love with a man when she's next to him, the moment she's seen him. And a man falls in love with a woman when he's apart from her. Which means if you're a woman, do your best not to spend all your free time with him. And if you're a man, try to be next to her all the time. Try to be involved in her life.
When a man talks, he says what he means. And men and women communicate very differently in my experience. So when men speak, they say exactly what they mean most of the time. And when they listen, they also take the words that are being said as literal meaning. So they'll take what's being said and that's exactly what they're going to do, or that's exactly what they're going to respond to. Women, in my experience, many women, this is always just generalization, but women do it completely different. What they say is often not what they mean. So when women talk, they often expect a man or someone else to read between the lines and work out, if you like, what she actually means when she's saying some words. And when a woman listens, she also does this when she's listening to someone talk. She'll hear the words, but then she'll try find meaning in between the words and make it mean completely something different, which can cause a lot of problems, obviously, and confusion. And I'm a woman, and I've done this in the past, and I tried to break down what it is. So as a woman, when we speak, we often speak from what we're thinking. But as women, we're usually heart-driven, and we're driven by our emotions. So what we're feeling is really important, and that's where the real meaning is. So when we communicate as women, we need to make sure that we're connecting in with what we're actually feeling at the time and communicate those words instead of just using our brain. So men and women are quite different like that. Men talk more from just the mind, whereas women need to speak more from the heart and actually say what they mean. So this is a whole learning curve for many women that I work with, learning to say what you mean. And communicating with men needs to be different to what's been done by many in the past. Say what you mean, and then he will respond in a very different way.
When you know and understand what I'm about to tell you, I promise you your relationships will get easier. The biggest fundamental difference between men and women when it comes to relationships is for men, when they get into a relationship with a girl, that is the end of the journey. That man is content, that man is happy, that man is fulfilled. He got the girl, and that's where the relationship ends for him. He doesn't need any outside sources. He doesn't need any extra validation. He feels good about the future and moving forward. Whereas for women, when they get into relationships with men, that is just the beginning for them. And that is the number one fundamental difference between men and women. It's because he settles in once he gets the girl, and when the girl gets the guy, it's just the beginning of her Disneyland fairy tale where he continues to court her, he continues to give her romance, continues to give her all of this shit like, Disney movies, until eventually he proposes, they have babies, she has like the dream wedding, which is why supposedly women, it's the best day of their lives. And that is why so many relationships fail. And this is why you hear so many times that women will say, oh, you stop doing this, you stop doing that. And it's actually a compliment within itself that the men have stopped trying, because it means that they are content, they're happy, they picked you, they're keeping you, they don't want anybody else. And this is another reason why I always say that so many women fall in love with the process of falling in love, which is all of the things, courting, the dates, all of the things that men do up until you get married, but they don't fall in love with the person. Whereas men fall in love with the person and don't need all this extra bullshit. Okay, bye.
Okay, in a relationship, boys' brain and girls' brain work differently. So girls want guys to notice the small details, our mood changes, and like little things, whereas guys won't know unless we tell them. So when girls say like, yeah, like I'm fine, you should never be like, oh, okay, she's fine. You should be like, what's wrong? And the reason why we just pretend like everything's okay and we don't tell you every single detail is because we don't want to sound needy, and we don't want to be like the one dragging like the things down. So we just say like, yeah, everything's fine, like I'm not stressed, I'm like fine. But in reality, we want you to check up on us. But then in guys' brain, if you tell them, it is what it is. If you don't tell them, it's just not in their brain system. It's hard and confusing.